Hey guys, today we are checking out something a little different. It's a bird feeder with a security camera, or a security camera with a bird feeder. Pretty cool idea. Yes folks, you heard me right, it's a bird feeder and they added a Wi-Fi security camera so you can watch birds up close on your mobile device. It will even send you notifications when there is activity at the feeder, and get this, the app can identify the birds and let you know which species is currently at your feeder. Anyways, not to get ahead of ourselves, the feeder is called Birdfy and is from a company called NETVUE. It cost about $250 American. I'll add a link for this and everything seen here today in the description below. Here's what we're going to be covering in this video today. We're going to start off with a review of everything that's included in the box. I'll run outside and do a Wi-Fi range test. Then I'll throw a bunch of water at this thing and see how it stands up. Then we're going to chat about the features and specifications of the camera. I have some footage to show you, but this video is more about the features of this device, the technical specs, and how it works, and its limitations. Alright, let's get things rolling here. Here's 6 seconds of unboxing and laying everything out. Now right off the bat, we have a 5-volt DC solar panel. The camera in the feeder is battery operated and the solar panel will help keep the battery power levels topped up. The mount attaches to the back of the solar panel and can easily be adjusted for best positioning to capture the most sunlight. The panel is impressively thin and very sturdy and includes a 3-meter long cable that's almost 10 feet. And next we have this Velcro strap to attach the feeder to a tree or some surface that you don't want to damage with screws. It kind of looks like a belt. That gives me an idea. So yeah, technically yes, you can wear the bird feeder as a belt. Now in this location, I wouldn't want to do any damage to my tire with screws, so the Velcro strap is a great solution. Now moving on to some more serious locations, here's how I would attach it to a tree. Pretty straightforward. And here we have a fence, but because the vinyl post is square, the belt is not very secure, so to fix this I need to slide in a wedge, and that makes it much more stable. Here we have a drill template, so we know where we need to drill the holes for mounting the bracket. And here we have the mount itself. It's very sturdy and pretty thick metal. I'm quite impressed here with how thick this metal is. Here's how the camera attaches to the mount. Simply slide it into the channel at the bottom of the feeder until it clicks. There is a little piece of plastic that secures it to the base, and to release it, pull this tab and it will slide right off the feeder. Since the attachment point is circular in shape, the feeder can swivel on the mount. Here is a look of how it functions when I set up the camera outside. Now after using it outside for a couple of months, I noticed some rust forming under the mount. This is something I need to keep an eye on. We also have this tripod connector included. It slides onto the bottom of the feeder, but it is a little large and it doesn't fit any of my tripods, so I will not be using this piece. Next we have the user manual, which is very well written and walks you through all of the setup and install steps in multiple languages. And this piece here is the feeder's cover to protect the food from rain and to give it a little shade. Let's run outside and see how it works. Not too bad. The water seems to roll off nicely. And here is a look at how it protects from the snow. And here is a fast forward of some larger birds eating the food who don't mind that it's covered up with a little bit of snow. And next we have the perch for the birdies to stand on while they enjoy their snack. I'll show you how that's installed here in a minute. Up next we have included some pretty impressive mounting screws. I'll probably use my own, but this is some heavy duty hardware. Now let's look at the feeder. There are slits at the bottom of the feeder to allow any rainwater to drain so your bird feeder doesn't turn into a bird bath. This seems to work quite well. These slits will also allow some airflow so the food will have an opportunity to dry after the rain. As you probably already saw, the back half of the feeder works as a hopper and holds the bird food. As the birds eat the food, more will just fall into place. And right in the middle of the feeder, we have the camera, which can tilt down to allow access to the micro SD card slot on the top. We also have a reset button and a power button. I'm going to drop in a 32 gig card. The card will be used to save any motion footage. I did come across a few issues though when trying to access footage on the card. I was able to back out and go back into my stored photos, and the problem kind of solved itself. Also on top of the camera, you see that there is an unused charging port. I think this is for another type of camera setup. The port is functional if you want to use it with a 5 volt 1.5 amp charging cable. The port that we are going to be using to charge the camera though is on the back of the feeder, which connects through to the back of the camera. Let's fast forward here as I remove this little rubber cover, and that's where the charging cable enters the back of the camera. Still on the back here, we have the Wi-Fi antenna. Remember, this camera only supports the 2.4 gigahertz frequency. The antenna looks pretty beefy, but actually feels a little bit cheap in comparison to the rest of this device, which feels super sturdy. Let's run outside and do a quick range test and see how this camera performs at 300 feet, which is just over 90 meters, away from my Wi-Fi access point.
This way to the backyard. We are at 300 feet.
The image here is pretty pixelated at this point at 300 feet away, and I'm getting a message saying that the Wi-Fi signal is pretty weak.
There's the house.
But impressive just the same that I can see an image at this distance. Just a reminder to make sure that you test your install location before mounting your camera in its permanent location to ensure you have a good Wi-Fi signal. Up next, we're going to throw a bucket of water at the camera and see how it stands up. I normally end my video with this type of test just in case I destroy the camera, but I'm hoping for the best. Otherwise, this might be the end of the video. So yeah, this is perfect. The camera survived the onslaught of water, and I don't need to end this video early. Next, we're going to dive into the specs of the camera. It's an HD camera that captures pictures and video in 1080p resolution and has a horizontal viewing angle of 135 degrees, which is pretty wide. In fact, so wide that we're going to see some distortion and vignetting in the corners. See how the lens is bending the tripod? And also notice that there's darkening in the corners. Obviously not a deal breaker, and actually expected when trying to capture a subject in a pretty wide area so close to the camera. And as an FYI, they advise not to point the camera towards the sun because it could damage the sensor, cause the lens to fade, or even cause a bit of yellowing in the lens. It will also help your picture quality look better and prevent the birds from looking like silhouettes. Now here, just above the camera lens, we have a status light. Here is what each of the lights mean, and if you don't like the light, there's an option in the app to turn it off after a few seconds when there is a status change. Now above the light, we have a mic hole, and that's for listening to birds and any surrounding sounds. Sliding the camera around on the back here, we have a speaker so you can talk back to the birds. Here is a quick test of what the quality is like. Hello.
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 Here on the camera face, we have a mini flashlight. Here's how it looks at night, and it allows a white light to turn on and shine on any birds who come by at night. It's good because it allows you to see in color, but it could frighten away any visitors when it turns on. Surrounding the lens, we have the IR night vision lights. They are visible at night as a red glow, and here is some footage using those IR lights. They are really good for lighting things up at a close range. Can't wait to see if any birds come to visit at night and how they look. So the next area I want to draw your attention towards is this part right here. It's a PIR sensor, which is very sensitive to motion and uses very little electricity. As an FYI, the camera is actually off most of the time to save power. The camera is only turned on when you access it through the app or when motion is detected through the PIR sensor. This also means that you cannot stream the live view continuously to some security management tool like Blue Iris or using RTSP. So a bunny rabbit passed the other night in front of the camera, triggering the PIR sensor to wake up the camera. Since it was at night, the IR lights turned on. The camera analyzed the motion, and since it was pretty minute and far away, and my sensitivity in the app isn't set to very high, the camera went back to sleep and did not send me an alert. Let's look at a daytime example with a bird. The bird arrives, the PIR sensor wakes up the camera, it recognizes the motion, and sends the notice for birds. And then it recognizes what kind of bird it is, and then I get the notice that there's a chickadee out there. The security camera also has an alarm feature. Here is a demo of what that alarm sounds like. I'm about 15 feet from the camera. And now a demo of the flashing light when motion is detected. You can have the alarm and the lights together, or you can separate them. That's a pretty cool feature. I'd also like to make a note about the camera's operating temperatures. The high is 50 degrees Celsius or 122 Fahrenheit. The low is -10 Celsius or 14 Fahrenheit. As soon as the temperature hits the cold threshold, it stops working because the battery can no longer hold the charge. So here we are outside in the winter time, and the cold temperature is just below that threshold. You can see that the status light is flashing and the camera seems to be turned off. I tried connecting the camera to both the solar panel and plugging it into an outdoor outlet. The camera will not run directly off the USB supplied power. It has to run off the batteries and charge those first. Once the temperature warmed up, it was all fine. So here we are back inside. Since we are setting up the camera here, we need to get it initially charged. I'm going to use the included USB-C connection cable and plug it into a wall outlet and let it sit for about 12 hours. And while it's charging, here's a quick shot of how to install the cover and the perch. Alright folks, that covers the specifications of the Birdfeeder and the camera. I continue to gather some pretty awesome and up close footage and learn all about the NETVUE app. The Birdfy feeder has a lot of exciting options. I love the quality. I think it's very well designed and constructed. I can't wait to share the footage with you from a bunch of different locations and review the app and its challenges. I hope that you found this information helpful. If so, please give me a thumbs up. Again, the links for everything are in the description, and don't forget to subscribe to be notified of my upcoming home tech DIY projects that you can do yourself. Thanks for watching.